Okay, $15. Remember that, Drew. This is very precious cargo we're dealing with here. One screw loose. Well, all right. You're already doing time for the screw. Look at this. Okay, this is Drew Loryn from Doing Time Podcast, and this is Be Positive Chicago Stories. Chapter 6. Fuck me!
Looking back, 2019 was an incredible story. For Be Positive, it was the story of starting something new, and we absolutely could not have done it without your support. We've got some big plans for 2020, but for right now, sit back and enjoy the final chapter of 2019. And from all of us here at Be Positive, Happy New Year.
This is chapter 6. Dude, chapter 6.
Welcome,
boss.
everybody. To Be Positive, my name is Darrian.
You gonna say your full name?
Nigga,
We don't
government
never
is out
say
here.
our
We
full
out here,
name.
boy.
I'm Darrian Lewis.
Have you heard your last name?
Darrian Lewis.
I don't know why I'm feeling real particular right now.
It's because you're drinking that
Seltzer.
I was gonna say poverty famished White Claw, but
Oh, man. Poverty. Why? Because it's got the light blue?
it's high noon right now. High noon.
It's high noon? Yeah.
High noon.
High noon o'clock?
High noon o'clock.
Mhm,
Yeah.
High noon o'clock. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Drew.
Hey, Drew.
Lauren.
There you go.
Yeah,
I was
there you
gonna
go.
say, you dropping government names. So we need,
My full name, yes. Hi.
there you go. Hi. Welcome here.
Drew's
you.
our guest for chapter 6, guys.
She the guest and
Yeah.
guest co-host. 5 stars.
5 stars. Speaking of pronouncing words wrong, okay, so I've been seeing a bunch of memes like on Facebook,
Yeah.
and oh my god, it was one about somebody said they were trying to say rotisserie chicken,
Oh, God.
and somebody said roast history, like
Roast history
it's like,
chicken?
hey, can y'all tell me about them roast history chickens at Walmart? Is they good or not?
Wait, what race were
It's just
they?
At Walmart.
black people, of
Okay.
course. I'm not even going.
Get to the point.
You're disappointing your own culture.
Yeah,
I'm kinda
I'm not about the front.
Because I was roast history.
Roast history.
I can say some good roast history. I got good roast history.
I was like, what are they trying to say? Like,
Right.
it was roast history, and I was like, rotisserie? Like,
Wow.
Wait,
Yeah.
did they
Rotisserie.
spell it like roast?
they spelled it roast history.
Roast
Drew.
history?
Yeah.
At least they spelled those 2 words right.
Yeah.
Man, look.
rotisserie is
Is
one
it
of them
roast
dumbass words.
space history or roast history?
roast space.
Wow. So
Yes.
they thought the syllable actually was a space in between.
The
That's how you know what? I blame Apple for this. Because they ain't helping out. Here's why. Apple got this new, the new lyrics. They pop up like karaoke style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's cool. But for y'all out there that's dumb and can't and illiterate,
Right.
you got to read fast now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The words don't stay still. They move. So if you trying to get the lyrics, trying to flex out here, you got to be smart. You got to be smart.
Flexing with roast history.
Roast
history.
nobody flexing with roast history.
I got another one though.
You got another
okay,
one?
so it's a how the fuck do you spell owl as in lane like owl 9? But they say owl
what?
like the
owl,
bird,
who?
like who?
Like that.
But they
Like that?
mean aisle
You have to turn
9.
your head.
I had to
like-
give him the
Aisle 9, as in like
Oh.
an aisle in a grocery store.
yeah AISLE.
Look at Drew's face.
What? Yeah. Don't that shit get on your nerves? I tell you, boy, y'all stupid ass people out there that can't spell words.
No.
I thought it was some like rapper reference I wasn't getting. I was
Okay.
like, oh, I know Lane 9.
So
You know
look,
lane 9? We talking tech 9.
Yeah.
so
for
in
sure.
the comment, somebody's like,
damn.
aisle I''LL9, dumbass.
Wait,
That's a
wait,
possessive
let me
damn.
see this.
Look at,
You lying.
I swear to God, look.
I see. I ain't even think. He gone. he gone.
Why do people ask like why is Trump president?
Right.
Like how? This is how it happened.
Yeah.
It's
right.
ignorant.
It is.
Oh,
Aisle 9.
Yeah.
I
apostrophe
will
L.
9.
I will not.
What the fuck?
Or who died.
Right.
You can Siri that. How do you spell hoo-hoo?
You're right. How do you spell?
Oh my God. My
God,
stomach
that's
hurt.
awful, dude.
I mean, that's embarrassing is what it is, man.
Yeah.
I know I struggle with saying the word, but I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Roast history. I mean, I'm so.
Yeah, when you say it with hostility, it makes it worse.
Yeah, it does.
Bruce, history?
Owl 9.
Ow.
I'm out of here, man. I'm sweating, y'all. If you see, look, for those that are listening, I don't know if you can feel the sweat sliding down my forehead.
Sweating out the dry rub.
Oh,
she been watching.
She watching.
Listen.
She watching. She bring it back. I don't, as it stands, until I'm proven wrong, dry rub is bullshit.
All right.
I don't want. If I want Doritos, I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven and get some motherfucking Doritos.
So you never had Doritos Los Tacos from Taco Bell?
I mean, I'm sure I have by accident. Taco Bell be doing some wild shit. I mean, they had the fucking chicken taco. That was a
For
chicken.
real?
The shell was a chicken.
Here we go about food again.
I know. Damn, look at that.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I know what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about? You
But I
had
also
it?
don't want to argue with a black man about chicken wings. I just feel like my stance.
Hey,
I feel
Drew
like my
knows her
stance
lane.
might
She
be
know-
a little off.
Yeah,
I
right.
just don't know. I'm a Jew. It's not
Are you-
like chicken wings isn't our specialty. You know? It's not really.
What's y'all specialty then?
It's so bad, dude. All the
said
food. People most know us for the gefilte fish.
Gefilte fish?
Like
That's
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour, yeah, Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Gefilte fish.
The good gefilte fish?
What?
Is this another mispronounce? No, I mean good bagels.
Good
Really
bagel?
Oh, bagels.
Yeah, bagels
Ooh.
be going crazy.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I mess with some bagels.
I fuck with bagels.
I almost
Me
said you
too.
put
Yeah.
sour cream on there. It's cream
put-
cheese.
You would say that. You would say that. You put sour
You put
Almost-
sour cream?
almost
We
said
give
sour
you
cream.
cream cheese and you're like,
It's-
sour cream.
Sour
No.
cream cheese.
Yo,
Cream
yeah.
cheese. Cream cheese. Cream cheese.
Is this cream cheese? I wanted sour. What?
I'm sorry. The roast history,
Roast
Owl
history.
9,
Yeah.
it's just getting to me.
It's just getting to you.
It's getting to me.
Good filter fish.
Good filtered fish.
Good filtered fish.
You put
Good space filtered
yeah,
space
yeah.
fish.
a
Yes.
Snapchat filter on your fish, and that's what it is.
Damn, we
Yeah.
can add a
Good
face to
filtered
it.
fish.
Add a happy face to it. Or add the fish. It's done now. Like the fish is done.
Hey man, I can't with y'all.
I can't, man.
Drew
Look,
came in here right off the back being silly.
you know, I was thinking about, the roast history. What's the best roast you ever heard? What's the best roast you ever heard? I heard a pretty good
Well,
roast.
recently I watched the Alec Baldwin roast.
Oh, yeah.
with
How was
Nikki
that? I ain't seen it
Glaser.
yet.
It was really good.
Nikki Glaser go crazy on hers.
She was
Yeah.
so fucking good, dude.
Man, she was.
No, she was incredible.
She was. It was
Yeah.
a lot of sex talk.
It was so good. And it was,
That Flavor Flav though, man. that they lit his black ass up.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Charlie Sheen too.
no, Charlie Sheen be getting it.
Yeah.
He got
She
it.
roasted
Them.
Chris Red.
Yeah.
Nikki Glaser
Yeah.
also roasted Chris. She's
Yeah.
like, you look like a 9-year-old that always found the best outfit off of the street or something like that. And it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like, and Robert De Niro, she roasted him about like just being old and
I
like
was
gonna
gonna say,
die.
he don't give a
it
damn.
was so funny.
Robert De Niro.
She roasted Caitlyn Jenner.
I mean,
and
that's
that's even like crossing the line.
That-
too,
that's-
'cause it's
that's
like,
crossing-
It's like,
Yeah.
and she murdered, dude.
Yeah. I mean, Kate, I don't want to step down the path.
Yeah.
Because I need this. You know what
I need this.
I need this.
I'm a Walter
Yeah.
White you right now.
I'm about to,
Tread
Yeah.
like toe the line.
man, I'm about to toe the
Tread
line like a
lightly.
motherfucker. Toe the line so much, we going to move on fast. That's how much.
The best roast I always say is at high school lunch tables, 100%.
Yeah.
But okay, I used to work at Best Buy. Everybody knows me and Darrian. We met at Best Buy.
Oh, okay.
So two of my friends.
Graduated to Sprint.
We
No,
did.
yeah,
We
yeah.
did. No. AT&T, everybody.
AT&T. He's like, no, AT&T.
Yeah.
Trying to
Like,
put
don't plummet my
I
credit.
know.
Don't worry.
They could be
trying
like,
to put
oh,
you in the
really?
box.
Wait, AT&T. Oh,
Right.
you're living it up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
Right.
like the Louis Vuitton of cell phone
Ain't
service.
Dude, it is.
Ain't it? You
Yes.
know? Shit. Talk about it some more.
We stop
Shit.
it.
Send them my way.
We at Best Buy, okay, and my friends, it's two of my friends, like I've known them since I was like 18, 19, right? So it's my friend Ricky and my friend Ed, okay? Ricky's like a slender dude, you know?
Yeah, Ricky.
Ed is a bigger dude, heavy set, you know? So they going at it, and they roasting each other back and forth, and Ricky say, all right, Ed, whatever you say, man, you look like a whole lot of people.
Oh.
Y'all get what?
Wow.
I say, what?
Wow.
A whole lot. He said, yeah, a whole lot of people. As in a bunch, of people.
put together. Your ass look
Hey.
like, he look like a Megazord. I'm sorry, Ed.
Till
I'm
this
sorry.
this day, when I tell that story, I fall out. It was the funniest thing that I heard up until that point.
That's a blackout right there.
Oh, yeah,
that's a
100%.
blackout.
Yeah.
That's a blackout.
He said,
And see-
boy,
Yeah.
you look like a whole bunch of people.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I've seen shit like that. Have you watched Family Guy?
Oh,
You guys watch
Family Guy,
There
hell
was
yeah.
this episode where they were talking about this fat girl, and she like ate 7 fat girls and just became one. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like it was just, It was great.
That shit funny.
It wouldn't really pass over right now.
You know, hell no. Ain't nothing
because
pass
everyone's
over
like,
now.
Yeah.
Hey, I had this is one of the funniest roasts I ever heard, man. So it's two dudes going back and forth, right? I had a house party, right? This was, you might have been there.
Which
no,
party
it was before.
was
It was the white party. It's the first white party.
I was at the first
you
white
from-
party. Yeah, that was when I got super drunk.
we was all fucked
and
up.
I went home and threw up in my popcorn bowl.
Damn.
Yeah, that was when I had
we was lit.
That happens.
the tequila from Mexico,
Oh,
and
that's
we
right.
had
Yes.
for the joints from McDonald's.
Yes. Yep. The mixed wax.
The mix wax.
Yeah.
Yeah. We mixed the rock with the
Hey,
big
Drew, it was lit.
It was crazy.
It was lit.
Yeah,
I was greeting people
all
at the door
bad.
with some Ciroc, the red Ciroc. What's that? The strawberry, raspberry, whatever it was.
This was so good.
So
Yeah.
good.
So
It was fire.
expensive.
Oh, man, it was lit. Anyway, before you got there, we were sitting down playing spades, right? And my man was talking, having fun, right? And this other dude was talking. Spades game went awry. You know,
Yeah.
you're gonna find out being with a black guy.
I already know
Oh,
what's
you know how
happening. Yeah, of
spades
course.
games they go
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It went south. My man was like, "Look, don't talk to me, right? Don't talk to me." He goes like this. They go back and forth. He goes, "Your grandmama looks like a copper rusted Phillips head screwdriver."
What?
I was like, first of all, that's the most detailed freaking roast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, of all time.
sure.
But my ass, I was like, which end of the screwdriver? I mean, which one we
talking
talking
top
about?
or bottom?
I mean, are we
Yeah.
talking top or bottom? Because I'm like, you so detailed. I need some more details with this shit, man. But
Yeah.
I heard that, I was like, I'm done. I'm retired. I don't never want to do
Yeah,
this, brother.
they say usually roast strokes work if they're too specific.
Yeah.
So like you can't not imagine.
You
it
can't
now
not
that it's
imagine. It put it in
that's
my
so
head.
Specific for sure.
Phillips head screwdriver? I mean, like, that's the flat one, right? That's the no, that's the four square one.
What about the other
star
brands?
one.
Yeah,
Right,
the-
why she
yeah.
look like a
Yeah.
Phillips head?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How you
could be a
What
flathead.
about her?
Right. What about her? She don't look like no Allen wrench. You know what I mean? Like
Where'd she grow up? I want to
where'd
hear
she-
more about her.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to know more about her ass. Shit.
Was her name Philip?
Damn.
Did it at least start with a P? Patricia?
She,
Something.
she was black, so it was Black and Decker. Sorry. All right, man. We're not gonna sit here and talk about people's grandmamas.
We
like
not.
that.
Speaking of Black and Decker,
Yeah.
that leads me into tools. That leads me into another story because, all right, so some people know where I work, some people don't.
Yeah.
I work in retail. All right, so this morning I get a phone call at 5:55. All right, and for some odd ass reason, I woke up at like 3:49. I'm being real specific because I remember the time.
Yeah, you mean yeah.
And I couldn't go back to sleep. Like I felt a little mucus in my throat, so I felt like I was getting sick. Woke up to some Dayquil and stuff, so I was just trying to fall back to sleep.
Yeah.
As I'm falling back to sleep, one of my managers called me, right? And I'm like, man, like this is weird because he would never call me like if he was calling off,
Right.
you know? And I'm like, I know he work at 8. I was like, he'll usually text me like if some, all of them text me
right.
if something they
Right.
calling off or whatever. I'm like, let me call him back because I missed the phone call. He's like, hey man. I'm like, what's up? He say, the security company called me. Somebody broke in the store. I say, what? So I'm like, all right, man, let me get up. I got my son.
Yeah.
So my son's asleep. And so I'm like, damn, I got to wake him up. I tried to call his mom a few times. She didn't pick up. She sleep.
You had to take
Called
son
his-
with
I called his grandfather. His grandfather woke up. And I know his granddad usually get up there early. So I'm like, man, can you wake his mom up? So I went and took my son back home, went to the store. So we outside. They not letting us in. And because they got to take fingerprints, all that stuff. So then the alarm started going back off again. So what happened was we got this loud siren now that like you can hear in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
right? Because maybe 2 years ago, they broke into another store on the other side of the mall and like bust through the glass in the front and just went in and like took all the shit out.
Damn.
So we was like, all right, for precaution, like we'll get a loud siren. So if somebody ever break into our store, like,
Right.
it'll be loud.
Right.
And I'm like, what's the chances of that shit happening? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've been there for almost 4 years.
Right.
The most we had is somebody run in, grab some shit, and they out. Like, you know what I mean? And 'tis the season. It's robbing season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always say
Robbing
that.
season.
Merry
It's robbing
Christmas.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's robbing season.
Cuffing and Robinson. Too much going
So
on.
we go and police there and they like, all right, let's see the footage or whatever. So we looking and I'm like, I'm on my phone because I'm trying to do a million things now. I'm trying
Right.
to get in touch with my
Phone?
boss and like all that
Yeah.
stuff. And the video freeze and then it cuts to like a can
What?
in the front of the store. And I look at the police and the other manager. I'm like, what the fuck is that? The dude brought a garbage can in the store. So like the garbage can that you got like on the sidewalk
yeah.
where you put your
Like the
your shit in,
suburban
like
shit.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? This dude had got out of his van, parked in front of the mall, got out of the van, pulled out a garbage can out the van, rolled the garbage can up to the front of the store, bust the window
With the
open.
garbage can?
With the garbage
Was
can.
the garbage
dude.
can to collect all the stuff?
Yeah, so he
broke it with those motherfuckers are plastic. No, I mean, like, what kind of strength he got?
Me and the police was like, what the hell? One dude.
Crazy.
How big was the dude? Was he big as all the people?
He probably about 160, 170. He go in, fill up the garbage can, grab the garbage can, then grab one more bag and carry that bitch out and roll it.
Oh wow, he was extra. he was like that one that he got. You know, that's like when you when the cashier at the register like, you want the candy in the bag, or he's like, no, I want
you ain't gotta bag it up. I'm gonna carry it with me.
And he just come right now.
Yeah, I need that right now.
When I walked in the store, I'm like, oh, this could have been much worse. Like, he could have took a whole bunch of stuff. But this dude, I'm like, you brought a garbage can in here? Like, it was wild.
How long total was the whole?
He's there for about 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, he just grabbed everything in the front.
How much you think he got away with?
Undisclosed number.
Undisclosed number?
Double digits. And
Double
thousands
digits?
for sure. Yeah.
In 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
I bet you that motherfucker good at Sonic. Bing, 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 bing. I mean, come on. I mean, shit.
Collecting rings and coins. He probably got the Mario Kart.
He probably Mario Kart be lit.
Yeah, he be drifting and everything.
Drift, yeah, he good. He's
Going
good.
crazy.
Wow. He the type of dude I'll actually on my team. You know what I mean? I mean, like, this man works fast. I'm sorry. This sounds like a resume to me.
Isn't that scary? These people have potential, and you're like, you can run a marathon.
Right, right.
You do that in 2 minutes?
Right.
Like, come on,
In
man.
2 minutes?
Like, you could do something else better with your life.
Speaking of the Chicago marathon, did y'all see that brother that ran in under 2 hours?
Harriet Tubman son. Him? That's what you talking about?
Yeah. He's Underground Railroad style.
No
huh?
place like home.
And-
God damn, that's insane.
Yes.
Go ahead, Drew.
Yes.
Man. I mean, trying to congratulate the brother. He wasn't. I mean, you know how fast you gotta be running. I mean,
Man, that's how many miles is that?
26.2.
Oh, okay.
That's all. I mean, I can't run
I
the
thought
shit.
it was like 4 or 5. Jesus Christ, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, he did his research before he came on
I
to the
did.
podcast.
I gotta be
26
accurate.
point, what, 3 or 2?
What's that?
Is it 2 or 3?
Point two.
Point
Just
two,
for sure.
okay.
Point
Damn.
two. Yeah.
And then 13.1. I always see it on
That's
people's
the
cars.
half, right? Yeah.
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 My fat
whatever.
ass.
That don't count. That don't count.
My
You're
fat
like,
ass
okay,
don't
we
like to
get it,
run,
yeah.
period. So
Yeah,
I don't
no.
even think I'm gonna run the 0.2.
No, hell no. Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
2 blocks?
What were you
Yeah, I'm
running
decent.
for? It's like, for what?
Why
It's too
Right.
cold.
I wonder what's the police chasing him. Did he like?
Right.
have
And I'm done at
flashback?
that point. Hey, look, catch my ass. Look, you good.
Yeah.
I did it. Whatever.
Running from the police, it's good training.
Yeah,
you know?
that is, man.
it
That
is.
clearly, that brother,
What you think his post game meal was? His post marathon meal. There we go. Some dry rub ribs.
Oh, no. I hope it ain't.
No.
Because, brother, look, he'll never run
You
the
guys should do a
26.
chicken wing podcast. This is too much time.
We should.
It was either that or some fish.
Pescatarian.
Pescatorian.
Good filter fish.
Good filter.
Good filter
Good
fish.
filter
All the
fish.
fish is filtered.
Good. All of it is
Filtered just
filtered.
like a Brita water. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good filtered
So dumb.
fish.
God damn.
We need catfish need to be good filtered. That's
Yeah.
the fillet. I'm sick of catfish and black people eating it.
No, slow down.
Oh no! I gotta say what I
done
said.
said about 2 podcasts straight. I'm down for some fish fries.
Okay, I'm with
Listen,
it too. But
catfish.
catfish?
Yeah, what
Is
you
that
eat,
fish
perch?
fries are?
Yeah, perch is good.
Why you eat perch? Because they don't have no bones? You like to be safe.
I do
I
like
like
to
to
be
feel
safe.
comforted.
I
I
don't
don't want to take no risk.
Look. This, Drew. This is how you eat. This is how you eat catfish.
No.
Oh, and you have to like separate.
Listen.
You gotta chew it up, mash it up in your mouth.
Listen. This is because you don't know how to eat catfish.
Oh, come
You
on.
eat perch all your life. So
I didn't be not all my life.
you know what I'm saying?
Come
Gotta
on, man.
get some buffalo fish. Now my grandma be like,
Buffalo
you
fish?
can't eat no buffalo fish. That got a lot of bones in there. Way more than catfish. That's my grandma.
You
always
eat
used to
buffalo
say.
fish?
I don't eat buffalo fish. My grandma, she live on the edge.
Yeah, right.
So
Clearly.
she like to eat the ones
He
with
likes
all
to
the
stay in
bones.
his comfort
Yeah,
zone.
yeah, right.
I'm gonna stay in my
Let him-
comfort
yeah.
zone. Like I'm semi taking risks, so that's why I choose catfish with bones. You don't like take no risks.
No.
You just perch. I'm safe as hell.
I eat catfish.
You know what, Ricky Wallace? I know you're gonna listen to this, and I know you a perch fish eating motherfucker too. You and Dario belong together because y'all just safe.
Look, I'll be honest. Ricky got a white girlfriend too. So, yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm gonna keep.
Drew, look,
Look,
Drew,
look,
find out what kind of fish St. James eat.
it's gonna be perch. Look, no.
He's allergic to a lot of fish.
Okay, I bet you he's very allergic to catfish.
I bet you the dude. I bet you the dude that won the marathon eat catfishing up.
Look, we don't know
He'll
what
eat no
he eat
perch.
from Africa, so you look.
I'm done.
You doing something
All right,
look,
moving on.
Look, them motherfuckers be skinny. I mean, that's how you got. Look, you ain't.
He practiced pescatorianism.
You got to. You got to
I'll
practice
do-
something.
Pescatorian.
You hear it?
You ain't never gonna see no big dudes like us running the fucking marathon talking about we done set a record.
I just told you I'm not running 0.2 miles.
Exactly.
So I'm definitely.
I ain't running 26. That's the long ass way. Where they start at? That's like that's like running
The
Western
suburbs.
top to bottom.
Yeah, they run from probably like the suburbs.
No, you ain't running from the suburbs.
It's
boy.
like, oh,
You
hey,
out here.
this Chicago marathon. We're gonna run all of Chicago.
Yeah, all right. We're running all of
fuck?
Chicago. You know what I mean? Like we top to bottom. What's
I'm
up?
good.
Yeah, top to bottom.
I do want the medal though. The medal was kind of dope. You seen the medal?
Everyone was sitting on the train and
With the medal?
with the thing around their back and like, we get it, you know?
Look, that'd be me.
So it was people that took the train to the marathon.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. It's like if you could run that long, like, can you drive?
Now wait a minute. I got to stick up for him a little bit. I mean,
Run your ass to the house.
no, that's too much. Why you gonna waste all that energy? I mean, I
Running
guess
with
since
the
you've been
keys.
running all
Yeah,
day,
you've been running all. You want to impress me?
Now
Run
you
the
tired.
marathon, then run your ass home.
Yeah.
Now you tired.
Now you got my. You know what I'm saying? You got
That
my
ain't-
vote.
You take away the medal if they take the train.
What?
You think y'all taking away the medal?
A motherfucker on the train gonna take the
No.
medal regardless. so I'm like,
Drew didn't take the medal. She watched them.
Wait, what?
I'm like, if you're, I'm
I'm a
not
little
getting
confused.
on the train and risking my medal. I'm be like, man, if this is gold, like,
I'm
somebody
flashing
go
that
rob
bad
me.
boy. I'm flashing that thing everywhere.
Yeah.
That's gonna be on job resumes.
Yeah, do you think they take the train for fun so they can show it off?
I
They just
would.
ride all the way to Howard and back?
Yeah,
So
right.
it'd be like-
Hey, right. I'm going back and forth on the red.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm going back and forth. South side, see me.
I'm finished.
I done ran.
Okay.
I ran.
And cut.
I
Okay.
ran for
Yeah.
for whatever reason. You know, my shit would be like
Well,
8
you know
hours.
what? You know what? I'm not even gonna front. When we did the plane pool
Yeah,
a couple
that felt
weekends
good.
ago, it felt good.
Right.
So I had my medal in my mouth and shit. Like
You
I was
pulled
a rapper.
how big? What'd you pull? A Cessna? Or you pull a
No, it was a Boeing.
Boeing?
Yeah.
737.
Yeah, we put the big plane.
Damn.
Yeah, we was out. You know what's crazy is that you know what's crazy? We went from well, I don't know if we was last place last year, but we sucked to like being
The best.
Yeah.
You won.
yeah.
Drew, you ever do some shit like that? Pull
Winning?
a plane? she said
for-
winning.
it was for-
She
it was-
said winning. Yeah. yeah. duh.
Every day. Okay.
It was for Special Olympics, so it's for a good cause.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the Special Olympic athletes like helped us. Like it was dope.
How you feel after that? Your back hurt or something? Your knees?
No.
How many people pull the plane?
It's about 20 of us, roughly.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
about to say why, but it's for the, I mean, then they got
But
other
I just
activities
told
you could do? I mean, why a plane?
I mean, you could go pull the kitty plane if you want to.
That-
The
that's
little
what
model
I'm-
plane.
you know?
Knowing your strong ass, you just.
yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I want to really flex. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to flex. I'm trying to pull a Cessna like this.
All
Like
or nothing.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Oh, no, it was
I
dope.
don't want
though.
teamwork. Fuck all that.
Oh, my.
You know? Fuck
teamwork.
Right. Oh, it was me and 20 other people pulled a big ass plane. Was the gas on it? Y'all ain't pull that plane.
I'm done with you,
I mean,
man.
I was like, I don't know why. Y'all ain't pull that plane.
I got video footage. It happened.
Y'all pulled the plane. It wasn't nobody behind the steering wheel.
No, we pulled the plane.
You pulled the whole
Nigga,
plane.
it's like having the car in neutral.
But it's always a person sitting in the car.
We just pulled it a few feet. It ain't like somebody had
How
to
many feet you pull it?
steer the damn plane down the runway.
how many
like
pe-
we were about to take off.
I ain't know if y'all was trying to get up in the air with it. It's like a kite. You know what I mean? I don't know what.
Oh my god.
How many feet you go with it?
Oh my god. I'm done. I'm done talking about this. I should never brought it up.
I want to know. That's
should never
all.
brought it up.
People,
I
I
should
just
never
want to
brought
know.
it
I
up.
wonder how far you
should
go.
never-
Would you go 5 feet?
I don't even know how many feet, nigga. I was just pulling. I just know we
He
had
needs
good
specifics.
Yeah, you know specifics.
I
Like,
just want to know, man, because I'm always skeptical. You see a strong world stronger man. You seen them, right? They say they pull a big ass bus and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's always a person sitting in the car. I'm skeptical of that.
Yeah.
ain't nobody gonna push the. If you push the gas, you're gonna run
Just
over
let
the
him.
motherfucker.
Just let him do his thing. Just let him have it. Come on.
I just want to know.
He's.
You know what? This all stems
He's go-
back
mhm, yeah.
to eating perch fish.
Look,
This just stems back
the
to
perch fish is a safe bet.
what I just say.
This is
Safe
that.
as hell.
All
right, let's talk about Drew now.
Yeah, we can move on. I guess I proved the point.
Let's talk about Drew
Let's
now.
talk about Drew. Again, I guess it's Drew. You've been hanging in with us.
Yeah.
This you don't feel any different about us, do you?
No.
All right, good.
No, I knew all of this. I knew all everything.
She knew we was black covered into it, so she knew what she was
Like,
getting
no,
into.
this is no
Yeah,
surprise.
she was like, "Yeah, my boyfriend's black. I understand how you guys communicate. I speak black, so I'm good." So she fit right in. It's fine.
Fit right in. It's good.
Neither
Hey.
confirm or deny it. Everything you
Yeah,
just said. Yeah.
right. She ain't say, she like that camera pointer. Fish.
Harriet Tubman's son.
All that.
All that. I know
All that.
exactly what y'all talking
Pulling
about.
Pulling planes.
Yeah, I know exactly what y'all talking about.
It's like a Sunday afternoon.
It's like it's like a Sunday afternoon.
Riding the red line.
Riding the
all
red
of
line.
that.
Underground Railroad, all that. Riding that. All right, all of
Good old Dario.
Yeah.
We like, oh, let's break a segment, and what do he come back with?
Well, I went to get some high noon
Watermelon.
watermelon drink
Yeah.
and came back with two white girls.
Oh my god.
One.
Look at you. You're already embarrassing yourself.
It's whatever. So we talked about the run the Chicago Marathon. Went off on that tangent a little bit, but we actually have two people that ran the Chicago Marathon.
So
welcome.
what's your name?
What's your names?
I'm Nancy.
Bridget.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks for being on a special guest. This is like now you're the co-host. We got an actual another guest. It worked out.
This is great. It worked out.
It worked out in the end. You
So
know
what y'all think about Harriet Tubman's son winning the whole thing?
How did that feel?
Was he wearing shoes?
I don't know. He was
That's
running.
all I paid attention to.
Was he running north?
Was the apparel.
Was it the apparel?
What kind of shoes do you guys wear?
I wore Nikes.
And I have New Balances, but
Okay.
we
got fitted for them.
Yeah, we got
Oh,
fitted.
really?
So if you
Yeah.
go to Fleet Feet, they'll match your running style to the shoe.
To the
They have a special machine that will like analyze your foot.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it
Yes.
makes it like legit.
It makes it a lot easier because if you tend to have it, the shoe will compensate for any like overstriding, overpronation, things of that nature. So it makes it a lot more comfortable to run.
Pronation.
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 Big words. You'll
Yeah.
see it. So they take into account bunions. They take into account everything. You know what I mean? Like toe feet.
Yes.
Just weird shit. Okay.
Then they give you the shoes, and then they make you go run in them.
Yes.
And then you have to come back and pick which one you
How far
like
you
the
gotta run?
best. Oh, down the corner and back.
Just another marathon.
A mini marathon.
Right. I mean,
made Bridget run though. I only ran on the tread.
damn.
I went outside down the block and back after
wow.
the gym. I was like, I already did my work.
After the gym?
After the gym.
What I tell y'all, what I say
You-
about the people that ran the marathon and get on the train, just run your ass home.
Yeah, just run on. Just run on.
get on train.
He was
Keep
accurate
going.
about that. He was very accurate about that.
Although my boyfriend did say that he saw a bunch of marathoners on the train, they could not get out of their seats. I'm like, I believe
they
it.
were so sore.
Yeah,
I
but-
believe it.
So is it best to just keep standing up?
Yes,
Yes.
you just keep
Yes.
moving.
Keep moving?
Just
Sitting
keep
it-
moving.
I heard you
Sitting
drink
is
beer is good after too. Drinking
It numbs
Yeah.
the pain.
it numbs.
And you
Oh,
just
wow.
you keep drinking.
You keep
You
drinking.
keep drinking.
This sounds deadly. This don't sound like something I want to do.
I already said, like, because it was like 26.2 miles. My fat ass not running 0.2 miles.
No,
nowhere,
I'm
first
not
of all.
doing that.
And let alone be running a whole damn marathon. And like, I feel bad when I'm on the toilet too long, my legs
Right.
fall asleep.
Legs start falling asleep.
What I'm running a marathon
When is this
for?
over?
Yes.
You know what
well,
I mean?
we have been training since June for
Since
this.
June?
That- I was
June.
gonna ask, like, how you've been training
Since
since June?
Every Wednesday and Saturday.
So what kind of training
Right,
did
what
you
do you
guys
do?
So
put yourselves
Wednesdays
through?
was our speed training, and then Saturdays was our long runs. And we trained with CES, Chicago Endurance Sports.
Out of Old Town.
Yes.
So we would
Okay.
meet down there.
And they're wonderful.
How many people did you guys, how many people was it training?
There was a few hundred.
At the
and
same
there's,
time?
Yeah.
there's
At our
mul-
location, but
right.
there's
but there's
multiple
there's
locations.
5 like CES locations.
And everybody ran the marathon, I'm assuming that was training?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
In different pace groups, but all together. Yes. And
But-
we had a group from Orange Theory because we all work out together, and that we
Oh,
decided
so
to.
y'all ballers.
So there was 5.
Yeah, Orange Theory ain't cheap. Yeah,
Yeah, so,
Orange
there,
Theory.
yeah, so there was 5 of us that we are a tribe.
We are.
That's our title.
Okay.
And so we trained together, did everything together, and now we're celebrating
dressed the
together.
same.
We are
We
all
did.
matching outfits.
And yeah, we're
Y'all
actually
so-
wearing the same shirt.
Y'all so
today.
cute.
That is man. That's it's so
But I
cute.
mean,
Where are
because
you
you
guys from?
can
We're from Chicago.
Chicago,
Okay.
but you can plan
We have a lot
together,
of Chicago
celebrate
pride,
together, go through everything together.
That's dope. That's dope. So how long did both of you all do? What was your times?
I was 4 hours and 33 minutes.
Okay.
That's amazing. I did in under 6, so 5:57.
Well, I'm in that 7-hour range, man. I said that early, man. 7, 8.
I
That's
just
me.
told y'all I'm not
You're
running
not running
2
anyway.
blocks. So I'm not about to.
That's good.
They be like, oh, this
Just
fool
make
was
sure
here
the
till
bus
tomorrow.
doesn't come and scoop you up.
Yeah.
Look, shit.
It's the sad bus.
Venture car.
That's a sad bus.
Shit, do they take Apple Pay? Because Venture Card, look. Look, boy, I double tap my, shit. FaceTime the bitch. I'm out of here. So I ain't doing it.
What do y'all take away from the marathon?
Yeah.
Like, how was the experience in itself?
Incredible. I will always remember this experience.
And then just the crowd
Yes.
out there to support you with the tissues and then offering you
the
like orange
signs.
slices, the oranges, the shots of Malort or Fireball along the way. The crowd is out there to support
didn't
you.
take those,
We
but-
said
I was like,
no.
Malort?
We
I
said
didn't
no.
like run that race.
We said
you
no.
know?
But just the crowd out there is what keeps you going the whole
spectators.
way.
That is awesome.
I had all of my friends and I saw all my friends and family that were going out there, and at the end my family was on Roosevelt Street, which is right at the end, and
Yeah.
that was just so incredible to see them cheering me on. It gave me just the energy to just finish strong.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
Man, well,
That's
we,
really dope.
we appreciate y'all. I saw you out there.
Yeah.
We talked about it, so that's commendable. So we
Thank
appreciate
you.
We
so,
are very excited.
Yeah,
We
show,
are.
show,
Off
show,
your
the
medals.
show the
Oh,
drip.
the
Yeah,
medals.
show the medal. That's dope. What's
Thank
that?
you, ladies.
Thank
course,
you. Really
thank you for
appreciate it.
having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can catch us on this as soon as you become fans. Subscribe and everything.
Yes, we would love
Yes,
to.
we would love to.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Thank you. We
Tell all
appreciate
your
you.
friends.
5
Thank
minutes
you.
of fame.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. Literally 5 minutes. Yeah.
I would shake y'all hand, but we can get some air high
Air
fives or
five.
something. There you go.
We did
Yeah, that'll work.
air five. We do that like, during
Congratulations.
speed training.
Thank
In
you.
long runs, we air five.
We air
Oh,
five,
okay.
yep.
Well, I'm with
so-
it. I'm not gonna come
Yes.
train with y'all though.
That's it.
Yeah, I
The
train for
best
a
part of training, though, we do training,
And brunch.
boozy brunch,
Boozy
nap.
brunch.
It's the best schedule
Oh, okay.
ever.
That's like, now you talk about
Best
my
Yeah,
schedule.
yeah, now I might sign up.
It's a lifestyle.
I'll be there for the brunch and the
So-
nap.
Meet y'all up there. Where y'all at? Y'all still running?
Let me know when y'all go to
Yeah, let me
brunch.
know where y'all at. I'll say y'all tell how many of it is. How many y'all is it? You know?
And you can eat whatever
Whatever you want. So you're
It's-
burning all those calories, and
so
you don't feel
need to-
guilty at
you
all.
need to get them
Oh,
all
see?
back.
Now let's have an eating marathon.
Yeah. What's up?
Hey,
What's up?
let's
26.2. All right. Anyway, thank y'all, ladies.
Thank you.
We
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
Yep. Thank you. Speaking of Drew, we got Drew Loryn on here, and this is for y'all that don't know. This is probably like our 10th time trying to do this, but we got Drew, and we are happy to have her here.
Thank
Drew,
you.
Yeah, thank you for being
Appreciate
here on the
it. Yeah,
podcast
thanks
with
for
us.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's
You like
been
one of my
fun.
favorite
We've
people in the
been
city.
rolling,
Thank
Drew.
you.
This has been. We definitely caught a vibe.
We
for
caught a
sure.
vibe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Caught a
I'm
big
happy.
vibe. Positive vibe. Yeah.
Would have been sad if it was only like 20 minutes. I'm like, well, didn't
Yeah,
feel the
yeah.
vibe.
Well, it's been
Didn't
a
catch
podcast.
it. Yeah.
Right. We tried. Just didn't quite turn over. You know. But
So Drew, I think first if we let's get into the stand up thing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you start stand up? Like, what influenced you? Why are you a stand up comedian?
That's so weird. I've never really like been asked that.
Yeah,
It's
see,
kind
we
of
get down to
interesting.
it.
But I've always been like, I've been through a lot, like just as a kid and growing up and stuff. And my way, it's the typical, like my way of coping was being funny, but I was super angry as a child, and I don't look like that. I know I always say like
Yeah,
when
you
I
always
when I'm
happy.
yeah, I'm always like I look like I pick flowers in my spare time, but like my puppy dog eyes, I know. But I actually just with stuff I would go through with my family, I get super angry, and I would vent to my friends all the time about what was going on during like middle school, high school, and they couldn't stop laughing, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be funny, you know?
Funny, man.
Exactly.
Right, right.
Like
This is real
I'm
life.
talking about my dad left.
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you
Not funny.
it.
Right.
Yeah. So I would get upset and I would vent, and they couldn't stop laughing, and they're like, you need to like make a profit off of this.
Yeah.
You know, like it's insane. Like you're funny, but you just need to like learn how to whatever, channel it in the right direction. And so like that's kind of what gave me the idea. And that was kind of in high school. And then I went to college and I got super, super depressed, and like anxiety, OCD got super, super bad. And then I was in I watched like Louis C.K. and I know all the stuff he's done
Yeah,
is
you're
bad.
right,
I'm
you're
not
right, yeah.
condoning any of the
Right.
stuff he did, but he definitely inspired me because I watched it and I was like, oh shit, like this is dope. And then just telling the truth, kind of how you feel and stuff like that. And then I went to this therapy program because I dove Division 1, so I was like a ton of pressure.
Dove like Swimming, diving.
Like jumped, flipped.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
damn,
I was
like,
like,
damn.
good dogs
Yeah.
can be a
So
lot of
I,
things.
so I was in like a super competitive environment, and it totally like kind of got to me because I wasn't really used to it my whole life, and then I kind of got thrown into it because I got lucky. It was like an opportunity of a lifetime type of thing for me, and they were like, we're going to give you like a 4-month break because I was super depressed. Just my anxiety was out of control, and they knew because I would come into practice every day being like, I can't do this, or my mentality would get in the way of my whatever was physical going on that day. So they gave me like a 4-month break, and I would go to this group therapy in Denver. And then I bought this
in Denver.
In Denver, I was like, yeah. So I was away from my parents, so that was like a big thing. You know, kind of troubled me a little bit. But I got this book, and I know it sounds so stupid, but I got this book called "You Are a Badass." Have you ever heard of it?
I know. But
It's this
I like
big
it.
like self-help book by Jen Sincero. It was really good, and it kind of just really helped me get out of my way of thinking negative thoughts and just turning really like what this podcast is about, just thinking everything positive. And it turned into like, write down the goals you want to do, think of what you want to do. And I was like, I want to do stand up. Like I really was like, I want to do this. I want to feel less lonely and feel like I'm less just isolated from everybody. I felt so isolated because I was in this environment which I never want to speak. I always am on podcasts and talk about like my diving teammates. They're great people, but like our problems were just very different. And I'm like, my brother just called me, who's a heroin addict, and was like, I'm going to kill myself. So it was like our problems were just like
You just now know.
drastically, and not to say like
Different.
one problem's different or worse than the other, but like in my mind, like it just tore me apart. And so I felt like I needed a way to cope with it. And having in the back of my mind that I was going to start stand up when I quit diving, so to speak, and went home or whatever I was going to do, I was like, I'm going to quit diving, go home. And ironically enough, you know, I'm sure you guys can speak this, when you're depressed, you feel super isolated.
Yeah.
And
Can't get out.
yeah. And when I was, so they left, so my therapy program was like 4 months long, right? But in the middle of that was like winter break.
Yeah.
So you get like 6 weeks off for winter break. But they left me in Denver. Like I couldn't go home because they wanted me to finish my therapy program. So nobody was on campus.
Wow.
So it was like I was alone.
Literally alone.
Yeah.
No, like actually alone. And then I had one friend that stayed. So we went skiing a lot. And that kind of saved my life because skiing is like my happy place.
Okay.
The one thing that I do
You a
that
good
I'm
skier?
like,
You good?
yeah, but
Okay.
it was the one thing that I do that I'm like, this makes me feel like the world is okay kind of thing because it's just so blissful. But I would do that. But besides that, I was going to my therapy program only 2 days a week for like 2 hours.
Wow.
So like the rest of that time,
yeah.
I was reading books and like doing absolutely nothing. And so I found that book. It really helped me kind of grow into my own and be like, and I've heard people talk about this too. Like a lot of self-help is just everyone knows what they need to do. They just need to do it. And
we kind of talked about that earlier offline. We were saying you know you have the tools. Everybody has it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's always that hard part. And I don't want to downplay it at all, but it's super hard to get yourself out of it.
Yeah.
But you have the tools.
Right.
You know, like you have it in you to get out of it. It's just it's tough.
It's that one step.
How did you find that
oh man,
power to get out of that?
it took me so long, like not so long, but it took me like too many things to happen for me to do it. Like I left. So I have kind of a crazy story. Like I went to, I never really like go to the specifics of it, but I'll tell you guys. So basically what happened was I went to this conference in Indiana, and it was like my first meet competing the whole year. It's everybody's last meet. It's my first meet competing because I've had this depression thing going on. So I competed, and my mom was like, you look skinny. Like you look like you're a wreck. I don't even like know what is going on with you. Because she knew I was depressed, but like I think it's different once you see it because I hadn't seen her because she's in Chicago. Yeah. So she was like, whatever, we'll get through this together kind of thing. My mom's kind of my right hand man, so to speak.
Yeah.
So then during the middle of the diving meet, I was like, I can't do this. Like during the warm up, we were warming up for the meet, and I was like, I'm done.
In the middle of the meet, before it even started.
Before we started, we were warming up. So we were doing our warm up dives, and my coach was yelling at me. And you know how you like have like a That's So Raven moment where you see someone and you're like, this is over. Like I looked at my coach and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. This is insane. I'm freezing.
What?
My crotch itches. Like I'm so over this bullshit.
Crotch itches.
Yeah, like it's just diving like every day for 4 hours a day. I'm like, I don't think this is what I imagined my life to be. And I kind of had like an existential thing where I was like, I don't look like these people. I don't feel like I'm similar to these people. I'm alone. They want to go to the Olympics. I'm just trying to get second to last,
Right.
you know, like,
Right.
and so I remember I had like total mental breakdown. I like talked to my trainer and I had like a panic attack, and they were kind of done with me at that point. They're like, we know what's going on. Like,
Yeah.
she's definitely not going to like continue. And I talked to my mom, and I had like this complete mental breakdown where I almost got delusional, where I was like, why won't you let me kill myself? Why won't you let me go? Like, I just couldn't stop begging her to like let me like do it. And it was like this huge thing where I just really wanted to like just be done with like it was more like, I talk about this with people too, where anxiety, it's really hard to like see in the moment. You're either seeing in the future or the past.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if I'm not doing diving, then my life's over.
Right. Then what
Right.
are you
You
doing?
know,
right. You
I
can't
can't
see
leave
the
school,
can't see
and then
past
if,
that.
Right, you can't
right,
see
and then
past
if
it.
I'm
Yeah.
doing diving, I'm gonna kill myself, and I'm not doing diving, well, then life's over.
Right.
So it was this, and then my mom actually took me home from the meet because it was in Indiana, so we were closer to Chicago
Right.
than to Denver,
Right.
and I went to a therapy program for like 3 months. Or not 3 months, for like about 2 months, maybe a month and a half, that saved my life. But I only had my clothes from the diving meet for like that a month
So
and a half
you
because
had to-
I
Lord,
traveled
yeah.
to Indiana from Denver.
So you had to look at the memories
Yeah.
of what
Dude,
you.
yeah. I only had like Denver swimming and diving, and I'm like, but I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
I'm completely done. And I think in the back of my mind too, when I was at that therapy program, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go back to school, but I knew I wasn't.
Wow.
But I went to this therapy program in Northbrook, and
Northbrook. Shout out Northbrook.
yeah. And it was definitely like, it was too, how do I say it? It was too almost close to home. Like, it was too yuppie for me. Like, everybody was like, my parents pay for everything. I'm sad. And I'm like, okay, this is not
Yeah.
kind of what I need. And I had like a really bad, I was self-harming at that point. So it was like past the point of just getting help sort of thing. And I attempted suicide like 2 weeks into the program. They're like, well, clearly this isn't helping.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
like you're done.
Yeah.
And so then I went to the hospital, and then after the hospital, I went to another therapy program, and that's the one that kind of like saved my life
Yeah.
completely. It was an OCD
Okay.
based program, and that was kind of what I realized was my issue. Like, OCD, yes, I have anxiety, depression, but like OCD is what makes me anxious and depressed. Wow. So it was like this whole
So
thing.
you
that
had
was, like,
everything going on at once. You know.
yeah.
And that was-
And then I transferred to DePaul and like finished there and started comedy. But my thing was like, I told myself in Denver, I was like, while I was reading that book, I was like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to start comedy, like,
Dope.
and do stand up.
Yeah.
So I didn't know like how it was going to play out, but like, that's why I started. But I told myself I have to be done with the therapy program. I have to be in a good state because I know comedy can like tear down your
Yeah. That
mentality.
can bring you back down.
And so I knew that logically. I was like, I have to start comedy when I'm completely just done with, not done with depression, but like over this depressive state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started.
But that's
I mean,
But yeah, it's
always-
very like long, but yeah.
No.
No.
It's always what we talk about, man. Like, you find there's always that moment
Yeah.
where something happens
Yeah.
that probably will break you down the most.
Right.
That was designed for you to like
To learn. That was
click
the moment.
and then build back up from there.
Oh,
like, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Dario can speak to it for sure. Like, he always tell the story of sitting at his sister's table,
Man.
like in the
Oh,
breakdown
yeah, I
moment.
remember you
yeah,
saying
know
that.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
That's
it's like
life-changing.
Yeah, like it's always a turning point that changes your life, where it's like you couldn't see past like that moment.
I couldn't.
Yeah, you can't see past that moment, but something
Until
happens.
something happens.
Till
Yeah.
something happens, and then it triggers you, and you're like, all right, I don't know what's gonna happen after this, but I know
Right.
something's got to be different.
And what did
Yep.
we say moments ago? You have the tools, and the tool you had
Yep.
was comedy already.
Right.
You-
Yeah.
And then you came back to it was like, look, well, I want to do comedy.
Well, my friend was like, you have to do something with, like, she's like, I love when you vent to me, but like, I can't stop laughing.
Put it to use.
But you can't, you have to use this. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of how that originated.
You
but yeah.
you mentioned that you went to school for something. Where'd you go to school? You just graduated recently.
Yeah, so I went
Tell
to,
us
well, so
about
I
that.
had the same major like all across 4 years, even though I transferred, but I majored in psychology. So that's kind
Okay.
of my,
So now,
so now I do comedy.
Wow.
Yeah, so now I do comedy, but I still, I always wanted to be a therapist and get a master's degree. But that, since I started comedy, I was like, this is kind of what I want to do. So I have a sales job, which like, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But now I just do comedy, and I'm like, okay, I kind of want to have a way of giving back, and that's why I have my podcast. So
it.
it's,
And
that's
yeah.
that's
Huge.
a perfect
segue.
because we know
Yeah.
Drew. I know Drew for a little while now.
Yeah.
About a year actually. About a year.
Yeah, we've known- yeah,
about
for-
a year.
wow.
Now you know
That's
what I mean.
so weird. Time
you know,
goes by
It is right.
very
It's so
quickly.
fast.
It's crazy because I've just met Drew
Just met-
like formally
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know who she is and everything, but it's like I feel like I've known her for years already.
Yeah,
Like
right.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
You know,
and like
funny. I mean, funny comedian.
Yeah.
Thank you.
we've always, Drew does this thing when she on stage, and I can't stand when she does it because I believe in her.
I know
she
what
does
you're
the
gonna
thing when
say.
she bails out on a joke and like starts to get all mad and flustered up on the stage, and I'm just sitting there like, come on, man, you funny, you got it. You know what I mean? Like she'll mention it.
That's the like confidence thing too that I'm working on. Where like recently I've been able to lean into a bit when it's not working, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like I know I'm funny, but
you
like
let it show
a couple
too.
months ago and before that, you would be like, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you fucking people.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
stand. Like
Yeah.
I develop a southern accent. I'm like,
Yeah.
I cannot stand y'all. Like because I talk about. I think what's hardest for me is all of my material. It's not like, why is the wood yellow? It's like, it's very personal.
Yeah,
So I talk
right,
about
that's
suicide.
fine.
I talk about anxiety. I talk about depression, and like people who say things that are, people say things that are dumb. To
Yeah,
me.
they all the time.
Talking about like anxiety and stuff, and I think that's where a lot of it stems from. So when people don't laugh, which like I've seen you do well, I do well a lot. So when I don't do well, it's like, oh, I'm giving my most vulnerable tendencies out, and
you
you're
don't
not
think
laughing at
Yeah,
me. Fuck
you don't even respect
Yeah,
it.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's- exactly,
It's funny when
it's-
she does it because I'm like, come on, Drew.
I'm like, don't melt down, don't melt out. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we go.
Oh, God.
Y'all came to see me.
Yeah, right. Fuck this, I'm out. Fuck this.
Yeah, I think it's too. I think I feel really comfortable when I'm around you. So I think like a lot of
Appreciate
times
that.
for sure.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Because you give me that vibe that I'm like, okay, it's like even if I don't do well, like we've established the fact that we know we're funny.
You're good. Yeah,
so
we're funny. We're
yeah,
good.
but that's a lot of times too, where a lot of comedy is like trying to impress other comics, but then you realize like this isn't my ideal audience.
Right.
So a lot of times I think I get mad when other comedians left, and then recently I'm like, oh, I don't need to do that.
Nah.
When I was in Denver and I wasn't thinking of impressing this autistic person
Right,
that
right,
was
right, right.
this comic who won't make eye contact
Yeah,
with me.
right.
That wasn't my ideal
No.
audience. And I think a lot of times I get in my head because you're so involved in the scene and your head is just like shuttered with, you can't look outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently I've been able to come out of that, which
dope.
took me a second.
That's
but
dope.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, man, if I get in front of my friends and like whatever people and they laughing, like it's like I'm funny, so I got the confidence.
Right.
Like, so
Yeah.
I'm get up there and I'm gonna do my thing, and that's that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You was just talking about like having anxiety and all of that,
yeah.
and depression.
Being a
That's
psychiatrist.
it's like being a majoring in psychology.
Yeah.
That's a perfect segue to your podcast. I'm
Yeah.
sure, like doing time.
Doing time podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, so I basically just bring on people who have been in a mental health facility, and we call it like a psych ward because it's like that's kind of what the common knowledge is, which is kind of sad, but that's what people know it as. And so I have people on to just talk about their experience and talk about how they're kind of institutionalized in a way, similar to jail, where it's
Yeah.
like you didn't do anything wrong, but your
Yeah.
body takes over
Yeah.
you, but you're still kind of in this state where like everyone is looking at you like you're quote unquote crazy.
Right.
And so we talk about that a lot. And then sometimes I've had people on who haven't been in a hospital, but I talk about like why they weren't in a hospital.
Right.
Like what is so stigmatized about the society that like you haven't been in a hospital. And I have on friends who we like have good chemistry so we can kind of talk about it. And I've had people who have told me I've been in a hospital, but I'm not ready to be on your podcast yet. And it's so heartbreaking to kind of hear about that.
Well, you being majoring in psychology, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you can kind of understand that. And my question was going to be, how do you get those people, even being friends, to open up to you and kind of spill? Because I listen to some of those podcasts, man.
Yeah, it gets
You got some
crazy,
real
man.
stuff on there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like y'all listen to it, Doing Time podcast.
Thank you.
Go check out, even on Instagram. But you get people to open up.
Yeah,
And
so
how
I
do
just
you-
listen to two, and I'm like, oh
Right,
man, this
you know,
is deep. Like,
how do you get people to do that?
It's weird because I don't see it as getting people to open up. I know that sounds weird, but like I think it's this mentality of like, when you see another comic and you can just go up to a comic and you're like, hey, what was the worst thing that happened to you in your childhood? And they could just tell you.
Yeah.
But like if I'd said that to a person on the street, they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know, it's that like bond that's automatically there of we're both broken. We both know kind of dark secrets that aren't really dark anymore. And so I think just having that camaraderie and then knowing they're on a podcast that deals with that stuff is like, oh, this is what we're supposed to be talking about. So I'm just going to open up and say that. I'm like, look, we have an hour. My first question, honestly, I think this is what gets people. My
Yeah.
first question is, how much time have you done? And they're like, oh shit, like this is real.
That's
so
a
I'm like,
good
so
opening.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like doing time. It's like, how much time have you done in your head,
Yeah.
in life, at a psych ward, quote unquote. So I think for me, asking questions that direct towards opening up, even if they talk about being in a hospital, I'm like, oh, what was your experience like? And how do you think that's affected like your mental health, or do you feel like they've institutionalized you? And I think just asking good questions. I mean, honestly, even something I've learned in sales is just asking good questions.
Right.
Yeah, open-ended questions too.
Open-ended question.
Yeah.
Retail. You've been in retail, huh?
Man, so 17. It's
17?
terrible.
Yeah, no, but retail is sales, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
learning to. I think my anxiety is so high that a lot of times I interrupt people because I'm like, I already know what they're gonna say. I just want to spit out stuff. And running a podcast has really helped me just become a better listener
Yeah,
and
you
just
can.
sit and be like, you don't need to tell them your stupid points. Like, it's fine.
It's all about them. Yeah.
Yeah,
And this
exactly.
is like from listening to your podcast, it sounds like from the people that been on there and the ones I've listened to, I almost get the sense that they kind of, this is a relief for them to kind of be telling their story. You know what I
So
mean?
many
Because
people-
they're already out of it, but then they're telling it because it's a good thing. Ty Riggs is the latest one. I think it's number 8.
All the booty juice. Or
Yeah,
something.
booty juice. Now I understand. You know, like he seemed like, just listening to him, it seemed like he was well out of it. You know,
I
and
know.
he lived that time.
Right.
He's not sitting in it, but he's able to tell his story in a sense of helping other people, especially him
Right.
being a black man. You
I
know,
mean,
so
you double back to when I was talking about the intermission, like we'll take
Yeah.
that clip or whatever.
Right.
But I was talking about people that are depressed and like in a certain state, like find somebody to talk to at
Yeah.
least, like, because you're not alone. Like people are there for you. Like sometimes we isolate ourselves and on purpose, like, you know what I mean? Because you feel alone, but trying to find somebody that you can just talk to or vent to, like it helps you, like it can help you come out. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things of depression is social isolation. And
Yeah.
that's you isolate yourself, and then anxiety is a good like enemy, sort of, where it feeds off of your isolation, where it's like, oh no, it's good that you're staying inside, because if you go out there, that's scary, and then you're gonna say something that you're embarrassed about, and then people are gonna look at you weird and things like that. And I think it's so easy to feel isolated. Even the thing about depression, though, that's scary, is that even when you're with people, you can feel isolated.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
I catch myself in scary times recently where, like, I'm not in a depressive state, but I catch myself in tendencies because I think my brain is so wired. If something goes wrong, suicide, first
Yeah,
option.
right.
You know, it's
Right,
like, it's
right.
so easy to
Right.
just, that's an easy way out.
Yeah.
And I think, so recently I was like, I'm in a relationship and I was sleeping next to my boyfriend. I'm like, sometimes when you go to sleep, I feel alone if you fall asleep and then I'm up. Like, even he's next to me,
Yeah.
but I feel like
I
I'm
feel that shit.
like, yeah, like I'm separated from him and like I can't fall asleep because he's asleep and I'm like, no, but I'm alone in the world. Like, it's so scary to be like, oh, even if somebody's in the bed with me, I'm still.
Yeah, that's I don't want to say it's natural, but
Yeah.
sometimes you do feel like that. You know what I mean? Like, I know.
It could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't want to say it's
Yeah.
So it's just being in relationships in general.
Yeah,
Okay,
in
being in
general,
relationships
right.
in general. Sometimes you can just feel alone because
Yep.
you feel like it can get to a certain point where you feel a detachment from the person. You know what I mean? And
there's not.
And there's not.
Yeah, there's
You know
not.
what I mean? You feel a
all in the
detachment
head.
from the person, and it's not. It's all about the mindset that you're in now. Like,
Yep.
I listened to the first podcast you had with Carly on, and
Yeah.
she was talking about your environment too. Like your environment plays a big part
Oh,
in, like a big role in like your mindset and depression and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, and I always tell people, like, man, like sometimes you just have to change your environment or
Right.
try to change your environment to the
Yeah.
best possible, because the surroundings that you put yourself in can play a big part on like
The people.
the
That's
people,
right.
how you think, all of that.
Yeah. In psychology, so we learn in psych that there is not two ways to get depression, but it's either you have to have both. You have to have a biological disposition to depression, anxiety, whatever mental illness you develop, and then you also have to have the environment. So there's some people who are biologically dispositioned to have depression, but they surround themselves with positive people and they don't develop depression because their environment's able to kind of counteract that chemical imbalance.
Yeah,
as
right.
The,
Yeah.
the society's
Yep. I
known
follow
to,
you.
the vocab. But now I think a lot of, like my brother has Asperger's and he also is a heroin addict. So I think a lot of times for him, it was mostly environment. He was hanging around.
Yeah.
He felt isolated. So then he would surround himself with a ton of drug dealers. And he's like, these are my friends.
Yeah.
These are people that like me. And I'm
Yeah,
like, they
you-
come over for 30 minutes. What do you
Right.
mean they like you?
Right.
They
Yeah.
were coming to get something and they're leaving.
Right.
So I think it's definitely,
We talk
environment
about that
plays
a lot.
huge part of it.
Darrian is big on that, man. Like,
Yeah.
and we talk about that a lot, man. Like your circle. I started 2019 out talking about the vibe that you have will be because of the circle that you have, and we started the year out together.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Out together.
And
literally brought in the new year together.
Yeah.
Literally did that, and we kind of made it a point, like to do that. And I and that's where kind of the concept for this podcast came from is how can we give what we have to other people, or at least let people see. So
for sure,
and that's a big thing. I truly believe in the circle that you have. That's why I think that's why we bond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why when I look at your comedy set, because when I first started talking to you, I'd be like, this girl is hard on herself, but she funny.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
And so I think one of our first conversations was like, hey, it was nice to meet you, but you good. I think I told you, you fine. You know what I mean?
Like, take a breath.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Chill out. You know what I mean? So
it's just crazy, man. It's like, I don't, like I said, we just formally met today. You know what I mean? And I walk right in the bar and I'm like, hey, what's up, D? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I brought right into Drew and it's like, hey, I'm Drew. I'm Darrian. And we just flowing. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was no, did you feel any awkwardness?
No,
I didn't feel no awkwardness.
Also,
you know what
I think it's easier for me when I know so you're always the person that's like, I catch good vibes. And if you like him, I automatically assume there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
You're fine. Yeah. And that's a big part of me too. I realized recently how my social anxiety has been manifesting. It's, let's gossip about this person.
Right.
Not to somebody I trust, not to everybody, but I'll talk to somebody. I'll be like, this person's this, and this. And I realize it's my social anxiety manifesting so that I don't have to talk to them. Because then I realize when I do talk to them, I'm like, oh, there was nothing wrong. I really like this person.
Right.
And I'm like, I feel tension with this person. This person is weird and fake and this and this and this. And then I talk to that person and I go, oh, that was my anxiety telling me that everybody hates me.
Right.
And they want to create tension with me because they don't like me, blah, blah, blah. So I realized that gossiping is a diarrhea of the mouth manifestation of just how my anxiety is boiled into myself. So
it could be a powerful weapon.
Yeah.
It could be a powerful weapon.
100%. I like just going back and diving into the topic of the podcast. We kind of started this for people to have an outlet to be able to talk about things that they've been going through and try to pull some positivity out of it.
Right.
And I think your podcast in general follows the same suit. Because we always talk about a new generation of comics, and you don't want to be like the people of the past and turn to drugs and other things, and then next thing you know, something happens and they're gone. I think it's just very important for people like us, people like you that have podcasts or platforms for people to come and express themselves and be able to talk. You know what I mean?
I had a girl who she's actually
gonna be. I think I know what you. Chapter 7, episode 7.
No. She's gonna be on my next podcast.
Okay.
But she, Megan Dirty, she's a great comic.
Very funny.
Yeah, she just wrote a whole thing for John Mulaney and Sarah Silverman. All this huge stuff that she's done. She's great.
She's funny as hell.
She messaged me, and I'm only breaching confidence because she's just gonna be on the podcast. But she messaged me. She's like, "Hey, just letting you know, I've been in mental health facility, but I wasn't gonna tell you because I saw your post in the Facebook group. But after seeing how chill you were with Carly on your first episode, I want to come do it." Which made my whole life. I was like, wow, this is kind of what I do this for.
I think that is probably the best, because we talked about this earlier, like Darrian just said, you have a platform for people that's pretty necessary. You know what I mean? And it takes a lot of courage to have something like that to get people to do it. That's why I'm so shocked listening to it, how you get people to talk. You know what I mean? And that's just
I knew
I said it already on the podcast.
For sure.
But it's a fantastic thing to have this podcast. And it's episode 7 for you. I forgot her name.
Marin, Marin,
yeah. So she is. You talk about something that's not necessarily about doing time. It kind of brings the notion of being a black female in society and how you perceived. Is that the right? Am I looking at the right episode?
No, but I know who you're talking. Melissa.
I think that was 3. Was that 3?
Yeah.
So I watched.
So apparently I've listened to more than 2.
Right. So,
well.
right. We fans.
No,
we for real fans.
Yeah, no. So I really want to bring on just the fact of I think growing up where I came from in such a predominantly upper class, middle upper class neighborhood, I'm so aware of how other people's problems are different than mine. I told a story on my podcast how this one girl walked. This was, I think, one of the days my brother got arrested or overdosed or something like that. I walked into my psych class, and this girl was like, "The only problem with the iPhone 7 is that it's so big and my hands are so small, right?" And I was like, "Hey, if you need anything, I'm here for you, right?" And so, so the whole class was dying laughing, and her stupid ass, she was like, "What? I didn't hear you." I was like, "Well, the joke's not funny if I say it."
Yeah, right.
It's not funny. So I am so overly conscious of how culture, race, everything plays into mental health and like what may, because everybody has their own insecurities. I'm not really insecure about being Jewish just because like I grew up in an area that was predominantly Jewish, but I'm insecure about certain things about myself. And I'm really like talking to people like Ty Riggs, Melissa, Meg, who's coming on, people who are from different cultures, especially Marin, who's Jewish, talking about how it's perceived differently in different cultures.
I think that's just huge. I mean, because
Thank
like
you.
that grows your platform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of what
for
it,
sure. Yeah,
instead
thank
of
you.
what it is. Kind of brings me to my next question. You got something? You chime in with me because I got the juices flowing.
We here.
Where do you want this to go? Like where do you see this going? Because I can see many avenues. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
So many.
yeah.
So many people have asked me kind of like if I wanted, not so many people, but I've thought about it. And then I got asked to kind of to do like a live podcast, which I think would be great just on my platform and sort of helping people, especially people who don't understand, go to therapy. It's like, well, there's so many factors into therapy. And we've talked about this in my podcast. People get kicked out because their insurance cuts them off.
Yeah.
People get kicked out because they might not be the right fit for the program. And a lot of times it's just a money thing. You don't have insurance. You don't have money. You don't have copay money.
Right.
And so you get
Yeah.
kicked out. And then it's like these people could actually die
Right.
because they're a threat to themselves
Right.
and or others.
Right.
So I think my big thing is kind of just helping people on a free platform.
That's where we are.
And also, I think it's a big thing for my comedy career to just make light of everything. And I think one of the biggest things is since I've always been funny, I was always the funny one on my diving team, always the funny one on my gymnastics team, making fun of myself for having these issues. And I'm like, oh, here's Drew going to OCD mode. I would
Right.
always make fun of myself.
Right.
And I think being able to do that is just so much better than feeling like you're uptight and your asshole's just so tight.
Right.
You're like, oh, I can't talk
Right,
about
right.
anxiety,
Yeah.
depression, or this. And it's just like, just relax.
Well,
like, it's fine.
When you do that, you taking the weapon, you taking the power from the people that want to oppress you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You've turned that into that weapon into a power.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so a lot of people, it's hard for a lot of people to grasp that concept and do that. You know what I mean? And just actually talk, because this is probably the deepest that we've ever talked about,
Yeah,
your
for
situation
sure.
and what you kind of, and you can just tell, you know what I mean? You can just tell that now you got a cape on,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not
100%.
It's not a vice. It's not something that's attacking you.
Right.
You are using that,
Yeah.
as a power now.
You know what's weird though is that I realize in certain situations how anxiety or mental health is perceived though, because like when I'm talking with you guys, I could be like, I was in my bed all day, and you guys are like, yeah, me too. Like it's fine,
right,
like
yeah.
it's okay,
I was.
But I was at work. I'm switching jobs just because I have a lot of anxiety when I don't have anything to do, and I've been really bored, so I switched jobs, right? And I'm having sort of like an exit interview with my new manager, and she's like, asking me all these questions about why I'm switching jobs, and I was like, honestly, like I have a lot of anxiety, and then I was like, wait, should I say that? And usually I don't question that, but I said it, and I was like, should I not say I have high anxiety, but I'm able to cope with it? And then I almost thought like, will she see me as crazy? And I've really never had that, because I know this is funny, but like all Jews have anxiety. We all have like, I told you, like we all have stomach issues. We're all going diarrhea before
Yeah.
comedy shows. Like that's who I am. So like, it's just the norm for me. And so kind of speaking to my manager about that, and she was cool.
Yeah.
But even in the back of my mind, like, will she spread the fact that I have anxiety to people?
Right.
And that was very telling of me that like, oh, the stigma isn't broken yet. Like it's just, there's certain areas. Well, of course you're not going to walk up to your job manager and be like, hey, look, like I have schizophrenia. This is what I
Right.
deal
You
with.
ain't gonna tell them all the facts right up
Exactly.
top.
You got to ease into it. But even just anxiety, which is, I think has the least stigma, because everybody has anxiety. It's a biological thing. When you feel threatened, you're going to, attack, kind of
Right.
like cavewoman era. But I think having that anxiety, to tell her I have anxiety, was really told me like, this is still needs to be worked on tremendously in the workplace, that kind of thing.
So, I mean, thank you for sharing everything
thanks
that
for
you
having
share.
me.
Of course.
Definitely.
Of course. I mean, you got a platform you got to tell people about. And that's, we talked about this. This is why we wanted you on here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
for sure.
you.
I think it's like everything about like just listening to the podcast, talking to you now. Like I think like people out there, like it's a place where you can feel safe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that's the most important part for people.
Right.
Being around people that you can feel safe with.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to express yourself and not be judged and things like that. So we definitely thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into a little funny stuff because
Yeah.
you are a comedian.
Yeah,
and
you
Yeah,
are
for sure.
a funny
Comedians
comedian.
first. Thank
dope.
you.
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, so we do this thing we call the 5 fingers of funny. So, and what it is 5. You ever heard of?
I have. No, I know what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking
I
about?
listen,
There you go. So we give you 5 words. You just riff off each word. So
Cool.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
She ready. She like,
I can tell.
Brother,
That's
the
what she ready
hands,
for.
Birdman
That
run.
was high noon. You don't know it, but I got it.
High noon. Yeah, right.
We got this blue and white can.
We're the blue and white can. Billy's like, we gonna have to.
It's
pay for
Hanukkah
this.
season.
First word. It's Hanukkah season. Why did that?
I don't even celebrate. I'm like, it's Hanukkah season. Yeah.
All right. First word we got is dash.
Dash.
Yes.
Well, I'm working for Grubhub, so DoorDash sucks. So
There it is.
think of a Dash. I knew a dog named Dash, a French pit bull. He was really cute. He snorted a lot, but I always recorded.
He snorted.
He snored like he does the
I'm like-
when the dog sleeps, you can hear him kind of.
Oh, I'm about to say you need to have a
Sleeping?
dog on doing time.
All right.
Damn.
Don't stigmatize French bulldogs.
yeah,
Okay,
I
they have their
mean-
own set of problems too. They
Right.
have short nostrils. They can't breathe.
They
Yeah,
struggling out here too.
yeah.
You know? Okay. All right. Next word. Ready? Justify.
Okay, I don't like people who justify things sometimes.
Me-
Because I was talking about this on my podcast. We were talking about my friend Marin was like, I hate when people say I don't see alcohol as a drug. And I'm like, well, people justify that because they're trying to, it's never like a good thing that happened. Like I pissed myself and alcohol's not a drug.
It's not a drug.
Like, so I don't like justify, but getting justice, sure.
Man, shout out to
But
Kid Justice.
power to
Hey, shout out for that. You love her. Right. Shout out. I did the wrong fist. I did the wrong fist.
Yeah.
And shit. Hold on.
Justify. Okay,
Shit.
these words are like actually really random. Wow.
Yeah.
How many syllables? Justify.
She on to me. I'm telling you, I'll be struggling out here.
Yeah.
It's it, you know. All right. Drew's on fire with this. All right. Next word. Impress.
Oh Lord. The whole comedy scene is that?
Oh, damn. Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Shoot 'em
And
up.
cut. Okay. No, I think a lot of times it's a. I'm gonna justify the word. I'm gonna justify what I just said about impress. I think impressions are very difficult because I think a lot of anxiety is involved in impressing people or trying to impress people, right?
They are.
Because you're like, am I impressing people? Oh no, wait, that's me trying to think
That's-
about it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God, and the
Yeah.
hamster wheel
Right.
keeps going. Okay, yeah, next word, thank you. I'm
She
trying to
on-
impress you with my
Yeah,
impressiveness.
But that
I can't
is,
do
you
it.
are trying to
Justify it. No.
You justify the impression.
Justify
I
you
like
my
it.
impression. Okay,
There
keep
you
going.
go.
Yeah.
There you go. Next word. Worship.
Worship? The devil? Okay.
Oh damn.
Kanye?
She gonna be doing time. She gonna be doing time.
Oh God, worship. I think worshiping is taking admiration to like a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because religion kind of freaks me out a little bit. Because even though I'm Jewish, I'm more culturally Jewish. Like my family celebrates holidays and stuff. But I think worshiping is like brainwashed. Like it kind of freaks me out when I see people who are like into Scientology or anything that's
They are. So that's I agree.
that's onto a next level. It definitely freaks me out. a
Tom
little
Cruise
bit.
is out of control.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
you watch what's the documentary Lifetime about R. Kelly?
Oh,
Surviving.
Surviving R. Kelly.
Surviving
You know
R.
it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now.
That's
I've been
worshiping.
trying to
That's,
get
that.
that's
Yeah,
not
it's
the level
worshiping.
of
Yeah, that's what I
admiring. It's gone to the
Yeah.
gone to that level of
When that
it
lady paid
freaks
for
me
his
out.
bail, I was like, you tripping.
No, shit. I would have been like, my mind's telling me no.
No.
It's your whole essence. You're almost not your own person because your whole being is going into this
Somebody
whole-
else.
Going
Oh,
somebody else.
God,
Yeah.
it really freaks me out. It's
Yeah.
scary.
Well,
Yep.
Okay.
He's scary.
Shit.
Keep it going.
Man,
Yeah, yeah.
last word. Last one.
Talk about impressing people. Okay.
Frame.
Frame?
Frame.
Like how you frame something or just frame of mind?
They don't give me definitions.
Well,
they just,
wait. Okay, let me say this. I think mindset is a huge thing that people talk about. It's always in like mental health podcasts and like self-help books, but I think a huge part of like be positive is sort of having depression or like anxiety and then framing your situation another way. We call this in mental health, in psychology, there's a thing how we help people and negative thought processes called reframes. And it's like, Dario thinks I'm weird. It's like, no, maybe Dario thinks I'm unique and different. And then you reframe that into a more positive thing. And I think those are super helpful. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
Right, I love it.
I love that.
It's called reframes. You can take it. You can take it.
I've been reframed before.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I've been told I was like cute, but like Dario's not cute. He all right. You know what I mean? I've been reframed.
You know,
I'm okay with being all right.
I've been reframed. You
Right.
know, it was like, oh, you fat. Oh no, you just cuddly.
You just cuddly. You
You're
know
like
what I
Pooh
mean?
Bear. You know, that's
you
my
just
girl
cuddly.
tells me. She tell me all the time.
Yeah.
You look, I like Pooh Bear. I just love to cuddle you. Okay, I don't know. I
Right,
gained a
right,
little
right.
weight.
I know what the
Yeah.
fuck you
It's
mean.
all right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
your eyes not crossed.
Yeah.
It's just you got
yeah. When my
astigmatism.
boyfriend tells me that, I'm like, it's time for the lettuce. I can't,
right.
yeah, no, there's no reframing this. There's a number on that scale and I gotta,
Yeah, you trying to make me feel good about myself.
Trying to be-
Yeah.
Damn, that was good.
Fire.
Thank you.
Antonio did it. Chris Charney did it, and you know I'm not
I
picking up.
did it.
You did it. You
Yeah,
did
I'm
it.
not gonna, you did it with
I'm
a capital
kidding.
D-I-D.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
did.
Did just was
Done
syllabus.
did.
Syllabus.
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 No,
That's what he said?
syllables.
Syllable.
Yeah, that's what my grandpa says. He's like, how many syllables are in the word?
Boy, that would have thrown me off. Boy.
I'm sticking with that
I would have been like,
forever.
first of all, I ain't got a
Syllables.
cookbook. How many?
A cookbook.
I mean,
Is
that's
that
what it
some
sounds like.
pasta?
It sounds like a
Syllabus.
it's syllabus.
There's 4
What you want,
syllables in the
Oh
God.
my goodness.
So
All right. Well,
crazy.
usually do this thing called a honey roast. We talked about roasting earlier, but
Yeah.
honey roast is basically you saying something positive about somebody that's not in this room.
Yeah.
So shoot.
Okay, wait. Can you go first?
It's all
It's
on
all
you.
you.
but I can-
It's
You know
all
what?
you.
No, we can change it up.
Okay.
Oh, let's change it up. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Look,
You
shoot.
change it up.
Who I want a honey roast? Here's who I want a honey roast.
Everything is okay.
Yeah. Do we have to give names?
We don't have to get names.
I'm gonna give a name. I'm gonna give a
You don't
name.
have to give a name
Marcus
because I don't
Turner.
want to give a name.
You don't?
I don't want to give a name. Well, I mean, I don't mind giving a
I got
name.
two
don't
honey
trip.
roasts.
Right.
I got two honey roasts.
Okay.
Two
The
nuts.
first one is not going to be a name because it is a person that was put me in the depression and helped me to get out.
Okay, sip a drink.
Yeah, you know. So I'm a honey roast. That
Come on, new
person.
friend. Toast me, new friend. There we go.
I'm a honey roast that person because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I'm better because of it.
Man, that moment.
Oh, yeah.
That moment
That
it
you
clicked.
thought was
Yeah,
something dark, but it brought
click.
you to the
You know
light.
what I mean?
Praise
the other person,
God.
right? Hallelujah. The next person,
Just saying, going from temple to church,
different.
my mind is torn apart. I mean, I can't even. I was telling my friend on the podcast, you get like kicked out of the temple if you're talking, and then I went to church with my boyfriend who's black,
they
and
was
his,
like,
Yeah, yeah.
his
turn
aunt
up.
was
The-
crying because he
yeah.
felt the spirit, and
Yeah.
I was like, Moses?
Damn.
You mean,
Was she running around church?
Who do you feel?
Did she run around church?
Yeah.
No, nah, I'm not even about to go there.
Them people in church, boy, they be running the Chicago Marathon. All right.
They run more than two
They
blocks.
run more than
That's
two blocks.
for sure.
All right,
More than
the
two
real
blocks.
one. Here's my next
blocks.
one. My next honey roast is actually Marcus Turner because Marcus Turner probably gave me. I called you after this moment. I called Darrian after this moment. It was this big. Probably the biggest and best moment in the last 2 years I've ever had. He gave me a phone call. Basically told me that it was on his spirit. And anybody, if whatever you believe, you know what I mean, like that's your faith. But he said God told me to give you a call, and it was right after a moment I just had a talk with my manager, and I was getting in the car, and who knows what I would have done. But I was very mad. I didn't want my team to know.
Yeah.
He called me as I was getting in my car, and said, "Hey, I don't know what you're going through, but I just want to tell you everything's gonna be okay." Literally at that moment, I'm not an emotional guy, but I told Darrian, look, man, hey, he got me in a little bit of tears, a little bit, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
it was,
God,
who knows what would happen? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right after I just had a one-on-one that didn't go the way I wanted, you know what I mean? So Marcus Turner, I commend you because that was one of the best phone calls, probably the most impactful thing this year. Definitely in the last 2 years, one of the best things I've ever had happen to me. So
That's great.
Marcus Turner, you the man.
I'm gonna go ahead and do two. I do too.
Yeah.
Last one I'm a no name for sure, but I'm gonna shout out TJ Stokes. All right, and I've
TJ.
never met this brother. Okay, and he was on the showcase of my buddies a couple weeks ago. Shut it down. By the way, shut it down.
Boy.
Funny dude, hilarious.
TJ Stokes.
I feel like I know.
You man.
Maybe I know who.
Yeah, he's funny. He's funny as hell.
If y'all don't know, go find out for sure. But I am going to say this brother, for not knowing somebody, catching a vibe through the phone, like just on social media, social media, hella supportive, hilarious. Always anything we throw up from Be Positive, whatever, like very crazy, like status we put up, like he always there sharing stuff. Like he just shared, like, you know, showcase and all that stuff, like all that stuff. Like, yeah. So shout out to TJ Stokes, man. I know he got a team behind him, and like it's a couple of them. Shout out to all those guys, man. Funny as hell and just super supportive. And brother, it's all love, man. And we definitely respect it and appreciate it for sure.
Yeah.
I'll say that at the end. Last person is, you know who you are. I'm just gonna say that. But she is my rock, and she definitely like. It's coming up on the year where I made some life changes, life decisions. You know what I'm saying? And 6 months ago, like, I mean, I've known this person, I've known her for a while, but 6 months ago, like, things started looking different for us in a different capacity. Like, a relationship changed, and she just been like hella supportive, man, and she just got my back like 100%. And I can't thank her enough for just being what I needed her to be, like in the moments, like, you know what I mean, and up until right now, like, you know what I'm saying, just being who she is, and she's like a bright spot for me. And if I always tell people, like, man, just find your bright spot in life and hold on to it, like, you know what I mean, especially if it gives you a certain type of energy and reinvigorates you.
Reinvigorate. Man.
If it
that might be the biggest syllable word.
Let's go. I'm here. So yeah, shout out to you, fat face.
He said it.
You got it.
Okay, my first person, you know who, Kenyon Adamczyk. Yeah, we've been like really close for probably since like 3 months into comedy since I started. So probably we've been friends for like a year and a month now, maybe like a little over a year. And he's always been somebody that kind of just like shoots the shit with me, which is great. But like very when I tell him to like stop fucking around, I'm like, hey, I don't want you to shit on me, like let's just talk about something real. It's like very easy to like talk with him, and he gets me, and like even the slightest worries I have him, he's like, stop, you're fine. Like, and so it's helps me with comedy. We've done some road gigs together, driven like 3 hours there and back, which has been interesting, but like nice to have a really good friend. And part of the reason why I'm shouting him out too is because I know this is so bad, but like everybody in the comedy scene, I've told you this, is like man or women, has given me such a like creepy, sexual, just touching vibe. And it's like, and not to like out anybody, but it's just always that like, hey, how you doing? Why are you touching me? Like, just always like, or so many, I can't even count how many people have asked me out, or just, I'm like, I'm just trying to be funny. I'm not, if I wanted to go to a date, I'd go on Tinder, you know?
Just be cool.
But you don't get, people can't.
Right.
So he's been somebody that just has been always cool with me, supportive no matter what. So that's been great. And then, my boyfriend, obviously, but like St. James.
She like, you see the glow? She was like,
St. James and Clay, who both run Young Hustle, are like the best people. They have always encouraged me and kind of bring me out of that comedy of like, I suck, everything sucks, it'll get better, but it'll get. They're like, no, you're on fire, dude, don't stop. Like, this bit is amazing. You got to keep going. This tag is fire. They're like, hoo, hoo, hoo. Like every second is like, hoo, hoo. Like everything is so exciting. And it's like, I can't wait to see you take it to the next level. And just, it brings it out of the mentality of I'm a broken person. And I can't thank like both of them enough for everything that they've kind of just, even if I do like good and not like crush, like, oh, you're fucking amazing. But it's not, I don't feel that fakeness.
Just the vibe.
It's a good vibe. And we fuck around and we tell each other honestly. He's like, what your problem is, Drew, is this, this, and this. What you're good at is that. And it's very honest. And that's what I like about me and Clay had like a 30-minute yelling fight. My roommate was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, because she heard me. We were yelling about like the whole Louis thing and what's wrong about it, what's right about it, and the whole controversy of it. And I'm like, I'm glad I have a friend that I could just yell and just be myself with
Yeah.
and not have to be like, well, over text. Like, I think what he did wasn't right. And, you know, it's like that passive aggressive. We can just be aggressive and then get it out. And we don't bring it up 7 years later.
It's done.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I
You
like
big
about
on that.
both of them is we're honest with each other and we just get it out of the way. We tell each other why we're mad, and it's so that's those two people are kind of like my rock, so to speak.
It's
so
always like when you got that thing with that person. It's not you versus that person. It's you and that person versus the problem.
it's versus the world, dude.
Yeah.
It is the
Yeah.
best feeling.
Yeah.
I've never felt
That's
that through all I've been
100%.
through, so that's
about
definitely
that
helped me with
circle.
everything. Yeah.
That circle.
About those circles.
Boy, damn, that's a good honey roast, man. We got 7 on there? We got 2 anonymous.
Yeah.
We got TJ Stokes.
6.
7. Marcus
Yeah,
Turner.
and then 3 for
And
me.
then
Oh,
three,
3.
yeah,
Yeah,
It was
3.
like
There you go. Oh,
combined,
2
yeah.
and 1. 2 and 1.
2 and 1.
Clay,
Yeah.
St. James, Kenyon, yeah.
Yeah.
All
And
men.
then-
The women can't trust them. I'm just
Dang.
kidding.
I mean,
All right, I'm going.
No,
oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right. We just want that to
This,
pass.
joking, I'm
this
joking.
has
Yeah,
been
yeah,
a hell of a chapter.
This
Yeah.
been fun.
Drew, plug everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
where can they find
you?
my
Find you.
personal Instagram is drew.loryn, LORYN, Thinking of changing it to Drew the Jew, but this is just
Don't
I'm
do
just
that.
posing it.
Don't do. Look, here I go again.
Don't tell the women what to do.
Yeah.
Slow down. Slow down.
No, so that's my Instagram, and then also Instagram for my podcast, Doing Time
Yes,
Podcast. How do you think you spell it? And then I mean that's pretty much it for Instagram, and then also just my stuff's on like YouTube, which is
Yeah.
cool platform to watch
What's
it on.
that? What's that for you too?
Doing Time Podcast, Doing
Time.
Time Podcast, and then subscribe on YouTube, and then subscribe on iTunes, which would be great. Leave a review, rate,
Yes.
subscribe,
Yes.
all but great.
There you
It's
go.
been amazing. So
I'll double back and say the same thing for us. Like, subscribe, 5 stars, and then head
like
over
the
to
eyebrows every time.
head
Yeah,
over
right.
to
Right over there.
Doing Time Podcast as well.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank
Drew.
Yeah,
you.
thanks
Thank
for
you
having
filling
me.
in
Yeah.
double duty. You,
double duty. 100%.
You were a guest.
DD double duty.
You know,
Hey, let's go.
Hey.
You know,
Shout out to I forgot their names, the Chicago Marathon
yeah, the
girls.
Chicago Marathon girls.
Bridget.
Bridget.
Oh, wait,
Bridget.
I know white girl names. Okay, Bridget, and Nancy.
And Nancy. Boom.
Wait,
Yeah.
That's why she said.
Okay, there
Filling
you go.
in.
She felt
Boom.
that she
There
was
you go.
listening more than
Bridget
we
and
were.
Nancy, we appreciate y'all, Chicago Marathon runners.
There you go. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't got nothing else, man.
I ain't got nothing else.
This gonna be the longest one, but
This
I'm
is
feeling it.
This is
Yeah,
a
I'm
marathon.
feeling it.
Yeah, we did
This
some
was
time.
the marathon episode.
Look-
Wow.
Look at me.
Wow.
Nuggets all the way to the end.
Okay.
You know.
Can I plug it? We did some time on this podcast.
Hey,
What?
oh,
Oh.
no, yeah, ended the way you. Man, we did time.
We
That's
did
how she
time.
ends it.
We did
my
some time. I'm with it.
Man, doing time is in the building. Thank
Thank
y'all
you.
for watching.
Yes.
This has been fun. And we out. We will see y'all next time. Y'all
Be
be positive. And y'all do your time.
Hey, do your time. Do,
Do
positive,
positive
time.
time. Yeah.
Yes, Drew. Yes, yes.
J. Allen Production.